It is a story about a boy named Jean, who had a superhero nose. It starts in a prison. Jean is there, and he's in big trouble. People are really mad at him, shouting and demanding that he be punished. They plan to tie him up and hurt him, then leave him hanging. It sounds very scary, but why? Let's zip back in time to find out. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Paris, Jean entered the world in an unexpected place, a smelly fish market. His mom, while selling fish, suddenly needed to give birth. And there, right on the cold, dirty ground, Jean was born. He was so tiny and quiet that his mom thought he was not alive. She was so busy, she put him aside and kept working. But Jean was a fighter. He took a big breath and cried out loud. Everyone was shocked. They thought his mom didn't want him, which got her into big trouble, and poor Jean ended up without a mom. Next, Jean found himself in an orphanage, a place filled with kids but not enough love or beds. Madame Gaillard, who ran the place, had her hands full. The kids there didn't like Jean. He was different. He had this strange habit of smelling everything, even their fingers. This spooked them so much they wanted to hurt him. But don't worry, Madame Gaillard saved the day and punished the mean kids. Growing up, Jean was always alone because he didn't talk until he was 5. But he had a secret power. His nose could smell everything, from the most beautiful perfume to the ickiest trash, and he loved discovering new smells. While the other kids played, Jean went on adventures with his nose, exploring every scent the world had to offer. He could even tell what something was without seeing it, just by its smell. When Jean was 13, a big change happened. Madame Gaillard, who took care of him, made a deal. She sold Jean to a man named Grimal, who ran a place where they make leather. Jean was to learn the trade. Madame Gaillard was happy with the money she got, but sadly, on her way back home, some bad people took her money, and she never made it home. Now, working at the tannery was really tough. People usually couldn't last more than 5 years there because it was so hard and dangerous. But Jean, he was strong. He worked super hard every day, dreaming of one day going to the city to smell all the amazing things there. After a few years of hard work, Grimal finally took Jean to the city for a special delivery. The city was full of new smells, and Jean was like a detective with his nose, exploring every single scent. While Grimal was busy, Jean's super nose led him to a shop with the most amazing smell ever. It was a perfume shop, and Jean watched in amazement as the shop owner mixed different smells to make new ones. Then, something incredible happened. Jean smelled the sweetest scent ever. It came from a woman with red hair selling plums. Jean couldn't help himself. He followed her, trying to get closer to that wonderful smell. When he did, the woman was so surprised she tried to talk to him, but Jean didn't say anything. She offered him plums, but Jean was too busy smelling her hand. This scared her, and she ran away. But Jean, determined, followed her scent through the city, even avoiding people playing with fireworks. He found her sitting at a table and tried to smell her again. But when she noticed him, Jean panicked and hid with her in the shadows. Accidentally, in his attempt to keep her quiet, Jean suffocated her. Jean was sad for a very short time because the body quickly lost its living scent, and that was all he really cared about. That night, after getting in trouble with Grimal for disappearing, Jean couldn't stop thinking about how he could keep a person's scent forever. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a perfumer named Giuseppe was having a tough time. His business was failing because he couldn't compete with a rival's popular perfume. Then one night, Jean came to deliver something to Giuseppe. He got to see Giuseppe's lab full of smells and ingredients. Jean, with his incredible nose, told Giuseppe exactly what was missing from his experiments. Giuseppe didn't believe him at first, but then challenged Jean to prove his skills. Without any fear, Jean started mixing ingredients, showing he might just be the best nose in Paris. Once Jean had finished his work, Giuseppe couldn't believe his eyes. Jean had made Amour and Psyche, just like that. But Jean wasn't done. He thought it could be even better. Giuseppe was upset that Jean, who was still learning, had done something so amazing. He was so angry that he told Jean to leave. But later, when Giuseppe smelled the new perfume Jean made, he was amazed. It was like nothing he'd ever smelled before, and it made him feel wonderful. The very next day, Giuseppe decided he needed Jean's talent for himself, so he bought Jean from Grimal. Grimal was so happy with the money he got that he spent it all and got very drunk. Sadly, on his way home, Grimal tried to avoid a carriage, fell, hit his head, and ended up in the river, where he didn't make it. Now working with Giuseppe, Jean learned how to make all sorts of amazing perfumes. They made Giuseppe's shop the best in town again. Giuseppe told Jean about a special secret in making perfumes. There might be a 13th scent that could make any perfume perfect, but no one had ever found it. Jean started dreaming about the possibilities, especially thinking about the woman he had met before. Jean wanted to learn how to keep any scent forever, so Giuseppe showed him how to get the scent from roses. Jean was amazed, but wanted to try with everything, even things that didn't usually have a scent, like chains and horseshoes. When Giuseppe found out, he was shocked, especially when he discovered Jean had even tried to get the scent of his cat. Giuseppe explained that you can't get the scent of a living thing like that, and Jean was so upset he fainted. Jean got really sick after that, and even though Giuseppe tried to help him by getting doctors, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. When Jean was very weak, he asked about other ways to capture scents. Giuseppe told him about enfleurage, a special method used in a place called Grasse. Just knowing there was another way to try, Jean started to feel better, and soon he was ready to go on a new adventure. Jean needed special papers to travel, and Giuseppe agreed to give them to him in exchange for 100 new perfume recipes. After Jean left, Giuseppe felt happy, but then something terrible happened. His house fell down, and Giuseppe was gone. Jean traveled to the countryside, enjoying the fresh air and the beautiful sights. Instead of the busy roads, he chose the quiet mountains. He found a cave on a mountain where the only thing he could smell was the scent of the rocks. For the first time, Jean was surrounded by just one simple scent. In a quiet cave, away from the bustling world and its thousands of smells, Jean finds peace. He spends years there, enjoying the simplicity. But dreams of the woman who sold plums haunt him, reminding him of the world outside. One day, he steps out into the rain and makes a discovery. He has no scent of his own. This makes him feel invisible, a non-important person, but he vows to prove he's special. As Jean nears the town of Grasse, a new scent captures his attention, more captivating than any he's known. It belongs to Laura, a young lady of stunning beauty. Jean follows this enchanting scent to a grand mansion, and watches Laura from the shadows of the garden, trying to get closer to her but is interrupted when her father sends her inside. In Grasse, Jean starts working at a perfume shop, learning the art of enfleurage from Drouot. This process involves pressing flowers into fat to capture their essence. One evening, after a young couple's playful encounter in a barn, Jean finds the girl alone and sees his chance to experiment with capturing her scent. But his attempt ends in failure. Not deterred, Jean tries his new method on a street worker he hires. This time, he covers her in fat, planning to scrape it off to capture her scent. But things go awry when she panics at the sight of his blade, leading Jean to silence her permanently. His experiment is successful this time, and he captures the scent, storing it as the first of 13 notes he believes will create the perfect perfume. Meanwhile, at a birthday party, Laura and her friends play hide-and-seek in a garden maze. Jean watches, waiting for his moment. When Laura runs from a friend, thinking it's all part of the game, Jean intervenes by throwing a rock to create a distraction, showing his obsession with capturing her scent as part of his grand plan. The fun and games at the party come to a sudden stop when Rachis realizes 2 of the girls are missing. At the same time, Jean is busy with his secret project, using the same method of wrapping and covering with fat to capture the scents of these 2 girls, adding their unique smells to his growing collection. When Drouot, Jean's boss, tries to scold him for neglecting his work, he's stopped in his tracks by the incredible scent on Jean's hand, which makes him suddenly calm and quiet. The next day, the town is shaken by the discovery of the 2 girls' bodies in the river. Rachis, deeply concerned, calls for a meeting and suggests a curfew to protect their daughters, noting a disturbing pattern that the victims were all innocent. However, the council is hesitant, worried that a curfew might ruin the town's economy. Despite their fears, Jean doesn't stop. He continues his grim quest, taking more victims to create his scents, leaving the town in a state of fear and leading to a curfew and increased patrols. The atmosphere in the town grows tense and fearful. People start barricading their homes and eyeing each other with suspicion, ready to accuse anyone who seems even slightly odd. The situation escalates when Jean claims his 12th victim, a nun, pushing the town's fear to new heights. A bishop declares the killer a demon, sparking a panic during a mass when someone announces the killer has been caught. Rachis, however, isn't convinced by the so-called capture. The confession, extracted under torture, doesn't align with the facts of the crimes. But the council, desperate for closure, ignores the inconsistencies, and the accused man is executed. Meanwhile, Jean, pleased with his collection of 12 scents, knows he needs one more to complete his masterpiece. He sets his sights on Laura as the final piece of his puzzle. While the town celebrates the false capture of the killer, Rachis takes Laura home. That night, Jean makes his way into the mansion, creeping up to Laura's room. But just as he approaches, Rachis, sensing something amiss, rushes to protect his daughter, only to find her safe and sound, with no sign of Jean. When Rachis notices the window open, he realizes it's time to act fast to keep Laura safe. The very next morning, they pack up and leave, trying to outsmart the killer by sending an empty carriage in the wrong direction, while they sneak away on horseback. But Jean, with his super nose, quickly figures out that Laura's scent is fading in the wrong direction. He packs up and follows the true scent trail leading to here. Meanwhile, back in town, a dog belonging to the street worker starts sniffing around and uncovers clothes and hair belonging to the missing women, a discovery soon noticed by Drouot. Riches and Laura, looking for safety, arrive at a secluded inn and take over all the rooms. Riches picks the safest room for Laura, one without windows, and locks her in for the night, hoping to protect her. But Jean, still on their trail, finds the inn. He quietly moves through the servants' area, steals the key from Riches' room, and finds Laura. In a tense moment, as Jean is about to take Laura's life, she wakes up and looks at him, causing a moment of hesitation. The next day, Riches is devastated to find Laura gone. Jean, having taken what he came for, finishes making his ultimate perfume with Laura's essence, adding it to the other 12 scents. Just as Jean is trying to enjoy his creation, soldiers catch him, but he manages to keep the perfume hidden. Under intense questioning by Riches, Jean's only explanation for his actions is a chilling, "I needed her." Fast forward to the day of Jean's execution, where the entire town has come out to watch. But Jean has a plan. Dressed in the Lord's clothes and wearing a few drops of his mesmerizing perfume, he steps out of the carriage. The crowd is instantly captivated by the scent, kneeling as if in the presence of someone divine. Approaching the scaffold, even the executioner is so overwhelmed by the perfume that he declares Jean innocent. Jean then takes a handkerchief, adds some of his perfume, and begins to wave it, spreading the enchanting scent further. The crowd becomes incredibly happy, feeling a joy like never before. And even the very important church leader kneels down, saying, "Jean must be an angel." Everyone starts shouting and crying for Jean, making him feel really special and strong. But Richie, who is standing far away on a balcony where the perfume hasn't reached, doesn't feel the same. Then, Jean lets his scented handkerchief catch the wind, and as it lands among the people, it stirs up a wild and naughty reaction. Watching this, Jean thinks of the woman who sold plums and feels sad because he realizes he's never truly known love, and now, he never will. Suddenly, Riches tries to end Jean's life himself, stepping up as if he's going to carry out the punishment. But as soon as he smells the perfume, he too is overwhelmed by its power and ends up calling Jean his son, kneeling before him. A little while later, the townsfolk wake up feeling really embarrassed about what happened. Jean has disappeared, and Dario gets blamed for everything because they found the clothes and hair at his place. After being forced to say he did it, Drouot faces the punishment instead. Jean goes back to where he came from, the big city with all the smells. He decides if he can't be loved, there's no point in living. So he stands in the middle of the street and pours the entire bottle of perfume over himself. The smell is so strong that the people around can't help but run over to him, and in their frenzy, they don't leave anything behind but his clothes and a single drop of perfume.